She's not finishing. Or she is, but it's taking 45 minutes, and by the end, you're both exhausted and quietly relieved it's over. I'm Dr. Nora Vale. I've been in men's health for over a decade, and I hear this complaint constantly. Not from men, actually, from women. They sit in my office and tell me their partners are trying so hard, but it's not working. And the trying hard part, that's usually the problem. I'm going to walk you through 5 things that actually speed up female orgasm. Not gimmicks, not some nonsense you saw in a video where a guy promises you'll have her screaming in 2 minutes. Real adjustments that work, because they're based on how female arousal actually functions. But first, I need to tell you something that might sting a little. You're probably in your own way. Most men approach female pleasure like it's a task to complete, a box to check. And women can feel that. We can feel when you're performing instead of being present. We can feel when you're counting the minutes. We can feel when you're more focused on the destination than the experience. And that pressure, it's the single biggest thing that slows us down. So everything I'm about to tell you is useless if you don't internalize one principle first. Stop trying to make her orgasm. I know that sounds backwards. Stay with me. Actually, no, scratch that. Just hear me out. There's a paradox at play here. The harder you try to give a woman an orgasm, the harder it becomes for her to have one. Because your effort creates pressure, and pressure creates anxiety, and anxiety is the enemy of female arousal. Think about it from her perspective. She's lying there, she can feel you working, she knows you want her to finish, and now she's got a voice in her head saying, "Hurry up, he's waiting, why isn't this happening, what's wrong with me?" That internal monologue kills everything. She's no longer in her body, she's in her head. And orgasms don't come from the head. So the counterintuitive truth is this. You're much more likely to get her there when you stop being so focused on getting her there. When you shift from, "I need to make her come," to, "I'm going to enjoy this experience with her." Everything changes. The pressure lifts, she relaxes, and relaxation is the on-ramp to orgasm. I had a patient tell me once, let's call her Nina, that she'd never finished with a partner until she met this one guy who genuinely didn't seem to care whether she came or not. Not in a selfish way. He was attentive, he was generous, but he wasn't watching her like a science experiment waiting for results. He was just enjoying her. And that's the first time her body actually let go. That's the mindset shift. Now let's talk mechanics. The first thing I tell every man who asks me about this, and I cannot believe how many of them have never considered it, is to use a vibrator. I know. Some of you just tensed up. You're thinking, if I need a toy, doesn't that mean I'm not enough? No, it means you understand biology. 80% of women need clitoral stimulation to orgasm. 80%. That's not a preference, that's anatomy. The clitoris has 8,000 nerve endings packed into a space smaller than a pencil eraser. It's the primary driver of female orgasm, not penetration. And no matter how good you are with your mouth or your fingers, a vibrator can deliver consistent stimulation at a frequency and intensity that the human body simply cannot replicate. It's not a replacement for you, it's a tool. Like, okay, this is going to sound ridiculous, but think about power tools. If you're building a deck, you could use a handsaw. It would work, but a circular saw does the job faster and more efficiently. Doesn't mean you're not the one building the deck. You're still the craftsman. The tool just helps. And here's the part most men don't know. A woman's first orgasm is the hardest one to achieve. It takes the longest. Her body needs to warm up, her blood flow needs to increase, her nervous system needs to shift into that receptive state. But once she's had that first one, she's primed. Her body is already in orgasmic mode. The second one comes faster. The third one, faster still. So if you use a vibrator to help her get that first orgasm quickly, you've essentially unlocked the door. Now you can switch to oral or your fingers or penetration, and she'll be so sensitive, so ready that everything lands differently. You're not starting from zero anymore. You're starting from a place where her body is already saying yes. That's strategy, not inadequacy. Wait, I should mention something about this. I had a conversation with a male colleague about this exact topic at a conference last year, and he got genuinely offended at the idea of recommending vibrators. Said it made men feel replaceable, which I understand the insecurity, but it's misplaced. A vibrator cannot kiss her neck. A vibrator cannot pin her against a wall. A vibrator cannot whisper in her ear or make her feel desired or look into her eyes while she's coming. A vibrator is a single function tool. You are a full experience. The two aren't in competition. And frankly, the men who are secure enough to incorporate toys, Those are the ones women rave about, because it signals that you care more about her pleasure than about your own ego. That's attractive. That's confidence. That's the kind of lover women actually want. All right, next thing. And this one is probably the most important. You need to lead. I'm not talking about being aggressive or dominant or ignoring what she wants. That's not leadership. That's just being an ass. What I mean is this: she needs to not be in charge. For a woman to fully let go and experience deep pleasure, she has to stop thinking. She has to stop making decisions. She has to feel like she can just surrender to the experience. And she can only do that if someone else is steering the ship. Most women spend their entire lives managing things, planning things, anticipating other people's needs. It's exhausting. And when she gets to the bedroom, the last thing she wants is to keep managing. She wants to be led somewhere. She wants to feel like you have a plan, you know what you're doing, and she can just feel. So, what does that look like practically? It means you're the one initiating transitions. You're the one deciding when to move from kissing to touching to oral to penetration. You're the one positioning her body. You're the one setting the rhythm, not asking, doing. There's a difference between "do you want to try it from behind" and "turn over, I want you from behind." The first one puts the decision on her. The second one is leadership. Now, and I cannot stress this enough, leadership does not mean ignoring her feedback. If she says stop, you stop. If she says not like that, you adjust. If she's clearly uncomfortable, you check in. That's not weakness, that's attentiveness. But the default mode should be you driving, you deciding, you taking her on a journey instead of asking her to plan the itinerary. When she doesn't have to think, she can feel. And when she can feel, she finishes faster. All right, third thing, and this one is criminally underused: praise. I don't mean dirty talk necessarily. I mean genuine verbal appreciation of her body, her presence, her effect on you. Here's something most men don't realize: women are wildly insecure during sex. Even confident women, even beautiful women. There's a running monologue in her head. Do I look okay from this angle? Can he see that cellulite? Does he actually find me attractive? Am I taking too long? Is he getting bored? Does my body feel good to him? These thoughts are poison. They pull her out of the experience and trap her in her head. And as I said earlier, orgasms don't come from the head. Praise interrupts that monologue. When you say something like, "you look incredible right now," or "God, your skin feels amazing," or "I love watching you like this," you're giving her permission to stop worrying. You're answering the questions she's too afraid to ask. You're telling her, "I'm here. I want you. You're exactly what I want." And there's another layer to this. Female sexuality has a narcissistic component, not in a negative way, just in the sense that women are turned on by being desired. We spend so much of our lives nurturing others, taking care of others, putting ourselves second. In the bedroom, we want to feel like we're the center of attention, like we're craved, like your desire for us is consuming you. Praise communicates that. It makes her feel wanted, and feeling wanted is one of the fastest routes to female arousal. You don't have to be Shakespeare about it. You don't need elaborate speeches. Simple, genuine statements work best. "You're so beautiful. I love the way you taste. Your body drives me crazy." Even just sounds, moans, sighs communicate that you're enjoying yourself, which gives her permission to enjoy herself too. And here's a mistake I see constantly: men who are completely silent during sex. Like they're concentrating so hard on performing that they forget to actually express anything. She's lying there wondering if you're even into it because you haven't made a sound in 5 minutes. That silence creates doubt, and doubt kills arousal. So make noise, say things, let her know what's happening for you. It's not performative, it's communicative. And communication is part of connection. So don't just touch her. Tell her what you're experiencing. Tell her what she does to you. Let her hear it. Okay, fourth thing, eye contact. This one is so simple and so overlooked. Most men look at their partner's body during sex, which, fine, obviously, but they don't look into her eyes. They don't hold that gaze. And that eye contact, especially during intimate moments, creates a completely different experience for her. It signals presence. It signals connection. It says, "I'm not just doing things to you, I'm here with you." And that feeling of being truly seen, it amplifies everything. Try this. Next time you're going down on her, pause for a second and look up. Meet her eyes. Hold it for just a beat. You don't have to say anything, just let her see that you're present. Or during penetration, Slow down, lock eyes, and say something simple like, "You feel so good." Watch what happens to her face. Watch her body respond. Eye contact is an accelerant. It takes whatever she's feeling and turns up the volume. And finally, and this connects back to what I said at the beginning, let her set the temperature. Wait, actually, let me back up. This is going to sound contradictory to the leadership thing I just talked about, but it's not. It's a different layer. You lead the logistics. You guide the transitions, the positions, the pacing, but you don't lead the intensity of her arousal. You follow it. What I mean is, watch her body, listen to her breathing, pay attention to how she's responding. If she's starting to climb, don't suddenly change what you're doing because you think something else might work better. Stay the course. Consistency is everything. One of the biggest mistakes I see is men who get impatient and start switching things up right when she's getting close. They think more stimulation means faster orgasm. It doesn't. Once she's on that upward trajectory, your job is to keep doing exactly what you're doing. Same rhythm, same pressure, same angle. Don't improvise, don't get creative, just maintain. And if you're not sure whether she's getting close, ask. Not, "Are you going to come?" That adds pressure. Something simpler, like, "Does this feel good?" or "Right there?" Let her guide you without making her feel like she's on a timer. Now, all of this assumes her body is responding the way it should, but sometimes it doesn't. If she's struggling with arousal, if sensitivity seems diminished, if it takes forever for her to even get warmed up, that's often a blood flow issue. The clitoris engorges with blood during arousal, just like your penis does. If circulation is compromised, sensation is compromised. Flow helps with that. It's an organic watermelon extract that supports nitric oxide production, which is the mechanism your body uses to dilate blood vessels and deliver blood where it needs to go. It works for men, it works for women. Links in the description. It's not a magic pill, but it creates the physiological foundation that makes everything else more effective. Okay, let me tie this all together. Female orgasm isn't complicated, but it's also not mechanical. You can't just execute a series of moves and expect results, because her body is connected to her mind, and her mind is connected to her emotional state, and her emotional state is shaped by how safe and desired and present she feels with you. So yes, use tools if they help. Lead so she doesn't have to think. Praise her so she stops worrying. Make eye contact so she feels connected. And stay consistent when she's climbing so you don't accidentally knock her off the ladder. But underneath all of that, the real secret is this. Stop making it about the orgasm. I know that's frustrating to hear. You clicked on this video because you want her to finish faster. But the path to faster is actually through slower, through less pressure, through genuine presence. When you're not performing, when you're not anxious, when you're just enjoying her, she can feel that. And that's when her body finally says, "Okay, I can let go now." I had another patient, God, this story still makes me laugh, who told me her husband had read some article about the perfect technique and spent an entire evening trying to execute it like he was following IKEA instructions. She said she felt like a project, like he was assembling her orgasm from a manual. And the harder he tried, the more she retreated. She literally faked it just so he would stop. Don't be that guy. The best lovers aren't the ones with the best techniques. They're the ones who make her feel like there's nowhere else they'd rather be. Like her pleasure isn't a task, it's a privilege. That's the energy. That's what speeds things up. Not pressure, not performance, presence. And honestly, I have to say this because it drives me absolutely insane. The amount of misinformation out there about female orgasm is staggering. I saw a video last week where some guy was recommending that men edge their partners by bringing them close and then backing off repeatedly, like it's some kind of tantric mastery technique. No, stop. That is not how this works. Edging can be fun for men because male arousal tends to be more linear. You build, you back off, you build higher, you back off, and eventually the release is more intense. Fine. But female arousal doesn't work that way. It's more fragile, it's more contextual. If she's climbing toward orgasm and you suddenly change what you're doing or pull back, you don't intensify the experience, you reset it. She has to start climbing all over again. And after a few resets, her body just gives up. The arousal fades, the frustration sets in, and now you've made everything harder, not easier. So unless she specifically tells you she likes that, don't do it. When she's getting close, your job is simple. Keep doing exactly what you're doing. Consistency. That's the word. Burn it into your brain. I had a patient once, a woman in her early 40s, married for 15 years, who told me she'd only had an orgasm with her husband maybe a dozen times in their entire marriage. Not because he wasn't trying. He was trying constantly, but he kept changing things. He'd read something online and want to try a new technique. He'd get impatient and speed up. He'd switch positions right when she was finally starting to feel something. She described it as being on the edge of a sneeze and having someone wave their hand in front of your face. Every time she got close, something disrupted it, and eventually she just stopped expecting to finish. She accepted that sex was something she did for him, not something she got to experience for herself. That's heartbreaking, and it's completely preventable. The solution wasn't some advanced technique, it was the opposite. I told her to tell her husband one simple thing. When I say, right there, don't move, don't speed up, don't change anything. Just keep going exactly like that. And within a month, everything changed. She started finishing regularly, sometimes multiple times, all because he finally learned to stop improving what was already working. So if you take nothing else from this video, take that. When she's responding, when her breathing changes, when her body tenses, that's not your cue to add something. That's your cue to stay the course. Here's your assignment. Next time you're with her, pick one of these 5 things to focus on. Just one. Maybe it's praise. You commit to actually telling her what you're feeling instead of staying silent. Maybe it's eye contact. You make a point to lock eyes with her at least 3 times. Maybe it's leadership. You take charge of the transitions instead of waiting for her to signal what comes next. Don't try to do all 5 at once. That's just another form of trying too hard. Pick one, practice it, see what happens, and stop watching the clock. She's not a project, she's a person. That's the difference between a man who makes her finish and a man she actually wants to come back to.